Welcome, I'm here with Ricky from Hatch, and Ricky's been kind enough to come and talk to us today about all things Ricky and all things Hatch. So we're going to jump straight in and I'm going to see what Ricky's got to talk about. So recently, Ricky, we had a name change.
Yeah.
We've got Hatch. Talk me through that. Why Hatch?
So why Hatch? So basically, this is probably about in late 2017. As part of our success and growth plans, we were kind of looking at the business in terms of where it was going, and we kind of had some wide conversations in terms of what excites us, what clients we want to work for, who we don't want to work for, and it kind of led us to think about our brand, and Yum Yum, and where that was fitting and how we kind of positioned ourselves. So we kind of went quite deep in terms of where we were going as a business and where we wanted to go, and we then had wider conversations with our clients and had again some real deep conversations with them in terms of how they feel about Yum Yum, and it kind of from that basically it kind of made sense that we needed to reposition ourselves.
Right, and is that where the name came from?
So in terms of the name, Yum Yum didn't fit in the space that we wanted to kind of own. So we had to think about renaming the business, rebranding the business, and obviously repositioning ourselves. So Hatch kind of came from just the thought process we went through in terms of, okay, what do we do? You know, we're a creative company. We give birth to these ideas and concepts. So it's all about that kind of initial start. So hatching concepts and developing something, and then beyond the hatch is kind of the flight and the delivery. Yeah. So it's that kind of fluid process in terms of what we do from a creative point of view.
I mean, that's a really cool name, like for a sort of creative agency. Yeah. Just because of that story, I find it really interesting. Like it totally fits probably more so than Yum Yum, you know. Yeah. But I've known you a long time, and my memory of you is, many years ago is you drawing things as a young kid, maybe in your teens, and being into design, being into art, talk us through
wearing cool clothes.
Wearing cool clothes. He's still wearing cool clothes. Look at this man. He's got shoes on that you can't see, and they're cool. But I can't get him to in Barcelona, or he doesn't want to tell me, probably. But you talk me through that, Ricky, because you've been in design in for your whole life. This is not many people, and you were passionate about it from a young age. And that was your skill, and obviously that's evolved because you run your own business now, so you're not just a designer per se, you do lots of things in your agency. But talk me through, like, you've spent your entire career, in my eyes, pursuing a passion. Is that right?
I think so. I think like what you were saying earlier, Des, like, so going back to those days where we had very little, and I had a pencil and paper and didn't really even have paper, so it's like doing doodles and drawings on envelopes and whatever materials I could kind of find. And I think it goes back to having recognition for some of the stuff I was doing. And then that created, in my mind, some kind of reward. I was doing something and I was getting recognised for it, which kind of like spurred me on to do more stuff and develop my kind of skills in arts and that kind of thing. So and kind of small steps, and then moving up and going through college and university gave me a wider kind of scope on, okay, so that's art, kind of craft that kind of stuff, and that's really cool. But then how do you take that art and make it from a commercial perspective? How to communicate with people, how do you make that design work from a communication point of view? So that's what I kind of probably got really good at as well.
And what would you say then, even from a young age, but maybe now, because sort of, I don't want to keep jumping around, but even as a young age, what inspired you at a young age to sort of be creative? Because I mean, naturally they say as children we're all creative. And some children carry that on, and lots of kids don't. Let's be honest, you're probably one in the class that maybe did, or maybe there's more, but it's not something that we all naturally carry on, but it is a natural part of us, isn't it, to be creative? So but you've just carried on. What inspired you as a young age, and what maybe inspires you now?
I think it kind of goes back to a little bit of what I was saying. I think it's just getting that recognition. I think going back to those days, it was almost like a reward to me. You know, I got recognised for doing some really cool pieces of art, and you know, people saying, "Oh, cool, you're really good at that," and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of spurred me on. That kind of motivated me to do more. And I think it's like anything, you know, if you practice, beat on your craft every day, like I was doing, then you get really good at it. I don't think you're naturally gifted with anything. I think this is my own personal belief. I think you become really good at stuff because you just repeat the process, or you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you spend so many hours doing it that you become an expert in that field.
No, I agree. But it's interesting. So, you know, I learned years ago that you've got to spend 10,000 hours on something for you to master it. You know, and so I remember someone asked me, "Oh, you sound really good on the phone." I'd been working for 25 years or 20 years on the phone in some capacity. They say, "Oh, you talk to customers really good." And I go, "I've spent 20,000 hours, 100,000 hours on the phone." You get good at it, right? And that's what your point you're making. You master your craft. I mean, so running a business and being a creative, they're not the same thing. Running a business is its whole new challenge. So talk me through that. What would you say now, fast forward today, you know, you've been running your own business for a number of years. What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned in running your business and trying to sort of probably still keep to that the values you have as a creative, but in terms of running a business, what's the biggest lesson you think you've learned?
That's a really good question. And just going back to saying, like, being good at doing something is one thing, but running a business and managing a team, that's a completely different level. So I've had to go through that process of learning leadership, managing a team. So the biggest challenge, is that what you're saying in terms of
more so like the biggest lesson you've learned, because you would have, like me, you would have done lots of things wrong to get it right.
So the biggest thing.
So what would you say is up there as this is the one thing, you know, that I really learned as a big thing in my journey as being a businessman?
I think the thing for me is like, I think I've made loads and loads of mistakes, which you need to, right? So you've got to make mistakes to learn. So, and I think it's like persistency, like carrying on, determination, because you get very close to the point of breaking something. And I think what lots of people do is they get to that point and then they stop, they give up. So it's being able to get to that point where you're very close and, you know, everything's going against you and you've got all these challenges, but you keep going until you break through. And then when you get to the other side, it's like, done it or made it or whatever that was. So, you know, next step, and then going beyond that. So for me, it's just self-belief. Self-belief that what you're doing is going to work. And then just pushing through and keep pushing through until you break through the other end. And
not giving up. Is it sort of not giving up, basically? Even if it's wrong, you pursuing that dream.
You're going to make mistakes. Things ain't going to be right. And, you know, running a business, like, you know yourself, it's a really, really difficult process.
It's a different set of skills that you need.
Absolutely.
And would you say then, so slightly different question, not quite the same question, but what would you say is, if you could put your success down to one thing, and I know it's not just one thing, but if you could say, you know, and there's many things I know, but what would you say is up there as the one thing that, you know, is a big reason why you feel you've been successful with your business? What would you say that was?
That's a really good question. I think so. If I go back to, you know, where we had nothing to a certain degree, it was kind of like having the kind of desire or the motivation to create more. So that's kind of been a bit of a driver for me. But also, I think more recently, in terms of success, is kind of surrounding myself with people at a certain level who are really good at what they do. And I think just learning. I think just learning and just continually learning stuff. And never think that you know everything. No one knows everything, right?
No.
So I think it's just absorbing myself in knowledge and education, and just keep propelling myself with fresh new stuff all the time.
And it's a really good point you're making, because I every time I speak to other fellow business owners, it doesn't matter what they do, this comes up, and I always, if I speak to 3 business owners, I could almost put my hat on that 2 of them will think that they know how everything works.
Right.
And the other guy is just learning. Continually. And the other 2 sort of feel like, that's it, I'm done. I know what I know.
I think I know the same people.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because I believe that you must. It doesn't end.
Yeah, no,
it just continues.
But I think as a business owner as well, you need to get people in your business who are really, I want people that are far better than me. And I think in my team, there are people in my team that are far more creative than I am and better at, doing the stuff than I used to be. So I think that's really important because as a business owner, you're not doing that job anymore.
No.
So you're managing a team and you're building a team, and and part of the success of the business is having the right team in place.
Do you think you made a good point about working with others, not whether it's in the business or whether they're people outside the business, even if it's from a strategic point of view? Do you think, working with other like-minded people, business owners, that are at, like you said, either at the same level or at a higher level, even let's say a higher level than you, does that really push you on to sort of want to achieve more? Like more, not you want to be like them, but really wants you to push your business and elevate. Do you feel that really motivates you to do that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we do a lot of collaborations with other partners and other agencies.
Right.
And we don't profess to be, again, we're still learning, we're still understanding new technologies and exploring stuff, and within the confines of our own area, that's quite limited. So you've got to break out of that, and talk to other organisations, other businesses, and seeing what success looks like for them and what works for them, and I think that's a massive part of it.
And is that something you're realising now more so, rather than if you rewind the clock to when you first started your business? I'm guessing you didn't go out there and find 10 people like you, in terms of, or 10 people that were running businesses 5 times the size. Is that something more recent you're noticing a shift in your mindset around that? Or
no, I think it's always been there. So when we were a smaller business, we had to outsource a lot more stuff. So now that we've got a bigger team, more of that stuff sort of comes in-house, but still very open to partnering up with other organisations and understanding how they do things. So again, what we can learn from them and what they can learn from us. We want to impart information as much as take it. So we want to share. So if we create success and we do something really cool, let's share it. I want other people to have the same success as what we had with our learning and with our knowledge. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we spoke about some of your motivations, and it's interesting. You said, just to sort of go back a little bit, you said about I wanted to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but about the fuel. Not having much.
Jet fuel.
and that's important, right? Because everyone's got their fuel, and you need some fuel that fires that gets you going and motivates you. And is how do you keep that going? Because that's then. So the fuel back then was, I didn't have much, and I wanted to create something. I wanted to create something with my life, and I'm presuming that's where you were at. So now you're in a different place. What I find a lot of business owners do is that they get a certain amount of success, and they often go from small business to create like a lifestyle business, and then it's how do they go from there, because they get into this lifestyle business that's really cool. They could have a bit of a team like you. They could be doing 6, 7, 800,000 pounds, maybe even £1 million a year, maybe 1.2, maybe 1.5, but it's still a lifestyle business. How do you take it from lifestyle business to a medium-sized business that's actually, now we're getting serious, we want to go to 3 million, 5 million? How do you keep motivated to do that?
That's a really good question. So I think from my point of view, it's like doing the maths. So what is the maths? So it's looking at the top in terms of what does that look like? So from a financial point, so what's really important to me is two major things. So time and money. Because in terms of time is the most precious thing to me. And making sure that I'm using my time so it's a good experience, and I'm not wasting it, and there's some value coming out of the time that I'm putting into stuff. So whether that be with the family or in the business or whatever else. So for me, it's kind of, when I want to say do the maths, it's like, okay, what does that financial goal look like? What do we need to achieve? And then working back from that, it's like, how many people do we need in the business? What resources do we need? How much marketing do we need? How much do we need to spend on marketing? All those sort of things have got to come into that into that equation as such. So in terms of the fuel, it's knowing where I'm going, and looking at my goals on a daily basis. Are we on track? Are we getting there, or are we moving in the right direction? And I think the other thing as well is, like, I think in terms of what success looks like for me now, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we do some really cool stuff in terms of we're a creative agency, and we launch products, campaigns, and we do some really cool stuff. But beyond that, we want to work with organisations that help to change and transform people's lives.
Yeah.
So that's a big driving force for us.
Yeah.
So if we're part of organisations or clients who are fixed in that field, and we're part of that process, it's so much more rewarding for us, the end results, than what we deliver. And then, you know, beyond that, the success we create, we want to share that, like, both financially and through knowledge and partnerships and whatever else we can kind of share through that process.
Yeah.
So, I think the game's kind of changed a little bit for us in terms of the mindset and the thinking and where we're going and how we're getting there.
Would you say, because that's almost like your work can either inspire or empower, you know, people, and it can transform their lives, because it depends on the client that you're working with. I mean, I used to years ago work for a stationery company, and then years later I started working in homelessness. Yeah. And then when people said, what was it like? And I said, well, I used to help people buy pens, and now I get people off the street. It's just a different realm, isn't it, of what you're doing?
Exactly.
And that's what you're sort of saying, right?
Yeah, kind of. So, like, in terms of how we operate as a business, part of our thing, I think we mentioned this, we've got Hatchbank now as well.
Yeah. Great concept. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's a really cool concept.
So Hatchbank is something we're really, really passionate about, and we want to give as much as we take. So the idea is the amount of hours that we bank through clients, we give some time back to charities and local communities and things like that. So we want to help them build their brands, you know, create their digital space, do their websites, all the rest of it, and that's what we're doing. So we're doing that for free, of course, because I think more businesses need to do more for local communities and charities. So that kind of resonates with us really strongly. And that's one of the messages we really were trying to put out. And that's really rewarding for us. You know, we get a lot of satisfaction, like you're saying, you know, from going from selling pens from the stationery business to helping homeless people. You know, it's worlds apart, but it's so much more satisfying when you feel like you're being able to contribute and do something that's more worthwhile than you know, like just selling pens, for example. So
just because we're talking about Hatchbank, tell everyone, how do you sign up for that? Do you apply? I'm a local charity, I'm a local business, and I might want to tap into what you're saying. How do you sign up for Hatchbank? What's the process?
We're kind of still building Hatchbank as an entity and a program. So we're going to be quite selective about who comes on board, so it won't be for everybody.
No, it's like an application process type situation.
There's a selection process. So if anyone wanted to contact us and they wanted some help, support, by all means, you know, send us an email, contact us, and then we'll review it. And if we feel that it's an organisation or a charity that has the same values and we're aligned to it, then we'll go out and we'll start to support them.
Cool. Well, look, tell us something about Ricky. So we know what you're passionate about for work. Yeah. So what else are you passionate about? Definitely outside of work.
Right. So obviously the family is really important to me. So the kids is probably what I'm probably most passionate about. And obviously my wife. I'm very passionate about my wife. And the family. My family's that's probably one of the most important things to me ever. Really, obviously business as well. But what else have I done? So recently started riding a motorbike.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you kept that one quite, Ricky.
So
does the wife know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not a secret.
It's got me into it. So that's something that it's nice because it's just such a nice headspace, and it again pushes me out of my comfort zone. And takes me into a completely different space.
Different place,
so just trying to push myself from a different kind of perspective. You know? It's like, so I passed my license about 2 years ago. And it's scary riding a motorbike. So that's
facing
cool.
some fears. You're facing some fears.
So I mean, there's lots of things I'm passionate about. I mean, I think if you're talking about the main things I'm passionate about, it's family and just having experiences and doing things and pushing myself both physically, mentally, and things like that. So
Cool. And what would you say? So I'm just thinking, you don't run Hatch. You're not a creative. Yeah. What do you do? What does that Ricky do? So let's just go back. What would you be doing if we weren't sitting in your office? And you running your own agency. What do you think you'd be doing?
So if I was employed, or
you have to be employed. You could still be running your own business. But what does the non-creative Ricky be doing right now?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. So I think Hatch is one thing I'm doing. I think there's going to be other things I'm going to be doing as well from that entrepreneurial point of view in terms of businesses that I'm passionate about. I won't tell you too much about that, but there's other things going to come. I think it would have to be something where I feel like I'm contributing in some way, changing or shaping something where it's going to have some kind of benefit or outcome. So maybe charity work, I don't know. Maybe working for some kind of charity.
It's funny, you get older, isn't it? And you want to give back. Like there's this need to go, what is the purpose in life? I'm doing this, but there's got to be something else. I
think I can share this with you. We both come from lives where we didn't really have a lot. So, and then when you get a little bit, you kind of feel quite grateful and quite satisfied. And I think we've had people in our lives who've supported us and given to us. So I think for me, you get to a point in life where, do you know what, I need to give some of this stuff back, or do some really cool stuff where it's going to help someone else. So,
well, look, that's really cool. I mean, Hatch Bank, I think, is a great concept. I know it's not your whole thing. It's just a concept and a thing for your business. But I think it's a great thing for that you're doing it. I agree, not enough people are doing and giving back. And I actually like the way, correct me if I'm wrong, if you do an hour of work, you're putting 10 minutes in the bank, which is kind of what they apply for. And I think just having the expertise is what makes a big difference. Like if you're a small business, charity or charitable organisation, that they can access sometimes of expertise, even if it's brief, I think it makes a massive difference. And that's a really cool thing. So, and I'm sure it's not the end. There's more cool concepts to come because you're going to come out with more stuff. But I like that you're doing that, and that's respect.
Great.
All right. But look, I think we're going to wrap up.
Cool.
Ricky, you've been a great guy for having me. I appreciate it. We're in this nice new office. Can't see it all. This is actually a pool table, but we couldn't get that in the shot.
Something else I'm passionate about.
He's passionate about pool, this man. I forgot. He's probably going to get beat in a minute at pool. But look, thanks for coming on. And we look forward to seeing you grow.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Des.
Good man.
All right.
You're welcome.
Take care.